Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh. Okay, I'm knocking my teeth out with the microphone. So glad to have everyone here this morning. So let us rise as you are able, and we'll sing our joy song with lots of joy.
I think we should give ourselves a round of applause. I enjoyed some bass voices this morning. Thank you. Welcome to everyone in the sanctuary. Is anyone celebrating with us for the first time? Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we have a visitors folder.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
they're ahead of you.
All right, awesome.
You can stay.
All right, if you'll just take a moment to silence or turn off your cell phones. Our 1-minute reader today is Nancy. Our musicians are William Penn and Drew Dowdy. Our speaker is Maurita. Our accompanist is Rick. And, okay, Nancy.
In quiet and confidence, I realize eternal strength. I meditate upon this statement until I feel mental peace and bodily freedom. My anxious every thought must be banished. This is the lesson I must learn above all others. Every feeling of fear must be eliminated. Every thought that is not in accord with the omnipresence of God must be dropped into the bottomless pit of nothingness. This method clears my mentality, and I now understand the meaning of Paul's statements: the things of the Spirit of God are spiritually discerned. I may claim this power of the Spirit because the Spirit dwells in me and thinks through me. As I faithfully practice living in conscious unity with Spirit, I feel that my health is an abiding reality. The Spirit assures me that I can act with confidence. In every experience, I feel at one with God's presence. I realize that every contact in my world is a part of divine order. I expect loving companionship to manifest. I expect adequate supply to meet my needs. I, myself, am the living truth. My body is whole, strong, and powerful. Courage, patience, and freedom are expressing through me, even though my arm really hurts today. My mind, my body, and all of my affairs are in tune with the invisible reality. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. That is from Isaiah I release every anxious thought.
Thank you, Nancy. Alrighty, our opening hymn is number 67, Ever in God's Presence. We'll sing verses 1 and 3. Number 67, Ever in God's Presence, verses 1 and 3. Stand as you are able.
This morning, I'm going to read from Colossians 3, 9, and 10. You have put off the old man with his deeds, and you have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. The idea is that there is opportunity for newness. There is opportunity for newness between this moment and the next. There's opportunity for renewal, for greater hope, for a sense of this is going to happen. And it is something that simply bubbles out of the inside of us. We connect with an idea that lives then within us from then on. Putting off the old man is possible at any second of any day. The old man with his deeds. His deeds mainly being fear. His deeds being that inner voice that says, oh gosh, what's going to happen next? What are they going to do? What am I going to do? I feel so bad today. My arm hurts. But we can put that off. Divine science, as a matter of fact, most of the New Thought religions were based on the truth that we can change our bodies, our minds, our expectation, and our experience in life between this moment and the next. It takes a change inside, and that is what is being talked about right here. That's what Paul is talking about in Colossians. He must have had to renew his mind many times because he faced all kind of opposition. Opposition from the Jews, opposition from people who didn't believe in Jesus Christ. He lived a difficult life by choice. By choice. Because he must have renewed the new man on an ongoing basis, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. So he was saying, I didn't do this by myself. I relied on that greater power. I relied on that infinite knowledge, wisdom, and love that I am a part of. Now, he was the one who said, in him we live and move and have our being. So he's not separate. God is within. God is around. God is everywhere. He must have come to experience that inner renewal. And so can we. All we have to do is know that the presence of God is right there. We are never alone. There is always help. It takes our connecting, our plugging in, our listening to our own selves, and knowing that I've changed, life is changing. My thoughts have changed. Everything changes when I put on that new man. Wow. That's wonderful. That's encouraging. That puts problems down where they belong as incidents rather than things that wash us away, that overwhelm us. Keep it in mind. Between this moment and the next, there is the invitation to know that God and you are right there together. And there isn't a problem, there is an opportunity when you put on that new man. Shall we say our divine science statement of being? You will find that in your orders of service. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a special guest with me this morning. And his name is Drew Dowdy, and if you've ever been to the Roanoke Children's Theater, you've seen him perform there. Also, I had the privilege of writing an opera about Miss Lucy. He sung the lead in that for me. And he's a wonderful singer, entertainer, and he also has influence at Hotel Roanoke. If you need anything, so Drew, come on up. Let's make him feel welcome. And this is our first duet. I hear singing, and there's no one there. I smell blossoms, and the trees are bare. All day long I seem to walk on there. I wonder why. I wonder why. I keep tossing in my sleep at night. And what's more, I've lost my appetite. Stars are just a twinkle in the sky, or twinkling in your eye. And I wonder why.
You don't need analyzing. It is not so surprising that you feel very strange but nice. Your heart goes pit-patter. I know just what's the matter, because I've been there once or twice. Put your head on my shoulder. You need someone who's older. Rub down with a velvet glove. There's nothing you can take to relieve that pleasant ache. You're not sick, you're just in love. You don't need analyzing. It is not so surprising that you feel very strange tonight. God goes I know just what's the matter, because I've been there once or twice. Put your head on my shoulder. I need someone who's older. Rub down with velvet gloves. There's nothing you can do to relieve that pleasant day. You're not sick, you're just in love.
He'll be back. A little song from Godspell. Day by day. Day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, to follow thee more deeply, to love thee more dearly, day by day. Day by day. Day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more dearly, day by day. Day by day. Day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, follow thee more dearly, love thee more dearly, day by day, by day, by day, by day.
This is the time in our service when we get still. We just quiet ourselves. Time of meditation, the kind of going inward. Some of us have that as a regular practice, and some of us are just live very busy lives and can't do it. But you can't hear now. So, what we do right now is just close our eyes and relax our shoulders and our faces and our arms and hands. Our backs, stomach, legs, and feet. Everything peaceful, everything relaxed. we allow a sense of peace to fill us. And when peace comes, so does a sense that we are not alone. Jesus once called us the light of the world. And science has discovered that we emit photons, light. It's a proven fact. And that inner light that exudes from us all the time is something some people can see. Many can't, but some do. And that light is not just the light of life. It is the light of God within us. The Bible says, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. You are exuding a light of life. You are exuding a light of God. You are exuding right now the light that comes from your own spiritual being. As you go through your day, think of that. That light is with you everywhere, constantly, and is indeed symbolic of both the light of God and the light of life, the light of creativity, the light of love, the light of good, the light of peace, all the time. There is so much in life that challenges that. That attracts your attention away from your being what you already are, the light of the world. But forever and ever and ever, we must go back to what we are and shine that forward. In the next 90 seconds, we will have a period of silence. And for that little stretch of time, I invite you to think of those places where you can shine the light of your own spiritual strengths. You can shine God's light. You can shine the light of creativity. You can shine the light of healing. It might be at home, it might be with a certain person, at work. But you can shine that light. You can shine it right now, as well as the next time you are there. Contemplate that. Accept Jesus dubbing you, naming you the light of the world. Put it on. Wear it. Proudly. Starting right now. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And we have rested in that thought, in that truth. And right now, not only do we revel in the scientific and spiritual truth that we truly are the light of the world, the light in our world. We know right now that we can shine that light, that consciousness that the Father and I are one. We can shine that idea into the minds and hearts of everyone who is on the Valley Community Church prayer list, to the people whose names I hold in my hand right now, to our armed forces, wherever they might be around the world, to the heads of government, our own and all the other countries. We shine that light of God's truth, God's love, God's presence into their minds and hearts. We shine light into their consciousness. And we know that there is an impact, perhaps subtle, but there is an impact of blessing and guidance and healing in that light. And we give deepest thanks that it is so for ourselves and for all those others. So it is right now, and so it shall ever be. Amen. And now, shall we say the affirmative version of the Lord's Prayer? You'll find that on the first page of your hymnal. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Well, this morning, I'm going to be talking about the next step after prayer. I was thinking about prayer this past week, and it occurred to me that everybody, no matter how unacquainted they happen to be with the New Testament, probably remembers Jesus' words in Matthew 7:7. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Well, it's saying very clearly there that, yeah, we should ask. We should pray. We should ask God for things we need, things we want. Yeah, but how? How are we going to do this? There are other places in the New Testament, and Jesus is saying, do you believe I'm able to do this? And when people could believe that he could do miracles, well, he healed the blind, he healed lepers, he brought people back from the dead. Also in Mark, the 9th chapter, he says again, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to them that believeth. So, what he's really saying is, if you're going to be successful in your prayers, you've got to believe. There has to be a quality of belief there. And the deeper the belief, the better. No questions, no doubts sort of lurking around the edges. Certainty, inner certainty. And wonderful things can unfold. He's promising this. He's showing us a path to successful prayer. Well, most of you know that I was raised a Catholic. I went to parochial school for 10 years, and I attended Mass 6 days a week, every day but Saturday. And between Mass and the various prayers that we had to say in the course of the school day, I did a fair amount of praying out loud every day. But I was a kid, and they were just words that I said, and kind of by rote. They didn't have any real belief or meaning. And I got to wondering about, well, was it just because I was a kid and they didn't really emphasize praying a whole lot in Catholic school? Was it just that, or do other people do that too? Now, Catholics pray, there's no question about it. There were all these booklets right in the pews that help you to keep up with the liturgy of the church. You could pray with your rosary beads, and people were in church with their rosaries. And then there were other individual prayers like the Our Father and the Hail Mary and the Glory Be and the confessional prayers and prayers before meals. And anyway, but certainly in one or more of these prayers, you refer to yourself as a sinner. As a sinner. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners. That's how the prayer read. So the fact that you were a sinner affected the way you prayed. You never, ever prayed right to God. Oh no, you're way too lowly and flawed to do that. Instead, you prayed to the Blessed Virgin, or you prayed to one of the saints. That's why there are so many statues in a Catholic church, or pictures. You prayed to these people. Because you see, they've been so good. After all, they had been canonized. They'd been given the stamp of Rome, that they were good people and they were already in heaven. That they knew. So, since they were already in heaven, they in turn could intercede for you with God. That's why you prayed to them. If you were worthy enough, sometimes your prayers are going to be answered. That's the way prayers went when I was a kid. Now, this is 70 years ago, of course. And it's possible they do things a little differently now. But the Catholic Church is not an institution that changes very much, and it's very possible that this is pretty much the way they still do things. So as I said, I was wondering whether other churches emphasize praying a great deal and how they might do that. And so I was asking Martha. Martha and I were talking, and she was raised Presbyterian. Okay. But in her memory, there again wasn't a whole lot of emphasis on prayer. Never on meditation or silent prayer or anything like that, because as a kid, she told me she never thought of praying herself. That was something the preacher did on Sunday. That was it. Now, when there were complicated situations in life, her mother would say, well, let God figure that one out. So it was put in God's lap. Good idea. So in her family, it appears that there wasn't any tradition of personal prayer. But if you happen to look at an official Presbyterian website, you are told very clearly that prayer is where you offer your life to God. It's where you align yourself with God for His purposes and to grow closer to Him, to come to love Him in His ways. Prayer is where you sense God's grace. It's where His purity and love and majesty become clear. And I thought, gee, these are beautiful words. That's a beautiful way to describe it. But they don't tell you exactly how to do that. Well, I didn't stop there. I went to the Methodist websites. If you ask a Methodist, you probably hear all about John Wesley. He was the founder of Methodism. About his Book of Common Prayer. Yeah. He was very enthusiastic about formal prayers. But also, he was also enthusiastic about impromptu prayers. I mean, morning prayers, evening prayers, family prayer times. Prayer, he believed, should focus us on the love that we need to feel for God and for gratitude to Him, or regret for any failure to love and serve other people. That's where prayer should be focused. Also, he said, prayer is a time where you tell God your thoughts, your feelings, and your requests. So he was also into talking to God about what he needed. What he needed in his work, what other people needed. But again, it wasn't specific about how exactly to bring about that feeling of gratitude and love and that sort of thing. Finally, I thought, well, let's try a Baptist website. And I couldn't find anything that they said about prayer. What they did have to say a great deal was about the basically sinful nature of humankind. Their belief is that we are lost in sin. Even our very good thoughts, our very good acts, I guess even prayers, are immaterial. We're not saved by works, but only by the grace of God. And only by the grace of God if we put our full trust in Jesus Christ, who redeemed the souls of everyone on earth through his death and his resurrection. So it's only by complete faith and trust in God can any of us, could all of us, be forgiven for our sins and earn heaven after we die. The greatest sin, of course, of all for a Baptist is unbelief in Jesus Christ. And that always leaves me with the problem of like 3/4 of the earth's people who don't believe in Jesus. That bothered me as a 15-year-old, and still does. So, there are many other denominations, of course, but these 4 Christian denominations, that's the Catholic and the Presbyterians and the Methodists and the Baptists, they cover a fair size number or amount of the Christian believers in our country. And they, along with all the other denominations, have certain very important ideas, concepts in common. Everybody believes that human beings have a basically sinful nature. They're sinners because of the sin of Adam and Eve. But that can be redeemed if you confess your sins and you believe wholeheartedly in Jesus Christ, who was God, the Son of God, the second person in the Blessed Trinity. But disbelief meant eternal punishment after death. That's pretty heavy stuff. However, beginning about 170 years ago, give or take a few, a new way of looking at the Christian message began. It began with a man by the name of Phineas Quimby and his student, Mary Baker Eddy, who was the founder of Christian Science. It also went on to Emma Curtis Hopkins and Melinda Kramer, who was the founder of Divine Science, and Nona Brooks, who became the leader after Melinda died. There were the Fillmores, who founded Unity, and Ernest Holmes, who founded Religious Science, and others. But altogether, this group of spiritual pioneers brought about a whole new way of looking at the Christian message, and it became known as New Thought. Very, very unlike old thought. They believed that God is not an angry, eternal judge who's out to get you when you take a misstep. Instead, they believed that God was a universal presence of love and wisdom and all good. We are all made in the image and likeness of this infinite presence. It says so in the Bible. We are not basically sinful. We were pronounced good and very good, and that is what we are. Life is a school where we learn to express these qualities, these spiritual qualities within us. Everyone has the opportunity to do so in any and every circumstance. What we can express is a perfect replica of what God is, because not only is God with us and within us, but our very nature is His image. Rather than being somewhere far away in heaven, God is here, now, omnipresent, everywhere, all the time. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are inseparably part of this divine presence. There is no outside of it. Everywhere means everywhere. Can't be outside. There isn't any outside. There is only within God. And Paul said that. In Him we live and move and have our being. Now, we love and we honor Jesus of Nazareth as a spiritual genius, as the greatest of the world teachers, because He proved everything He said. But those teachings are teachings which we heed because they are pure gold. But we do not worship Him. We worship the God that He worshipped. Now, I can't speak for all the New Thought churches, certainly, but divine science believes implicitly on the necessity of practicing the presence of God. Keeping on, reminding ourselves of His presence right where we are. Right where we are. God is the ground of the universe. God is the basic energy for this whole vast creation. Not just here probably, but far beyond. And how about us? How do we practice this presence? It's something we do in the world, and we can do it all the time. You go to the grocery store, and you're pushing the basket. The basket is God's presence. The can on the shelf, green beans, put it in the basket. That's God's presence, because He is the basic energy within everything. The person walking toward you, God's presence right there. Picking up a head of lettuce or some apples. God's presence in those things. God's presence in the pound of bacon that you put in the basket. God's presence in the person standing in front of you who is going to be checked out. And then when it's your turn, God is in that checker. God is in the person who puts the groceries in the bag. When you go and gas up the car, God is right there in the midst of the gas and the automobile and the pump, the whole schnick. God is there. That is the omnipresence of God. How about at your desk? God is the basic energy in that desk, in the chair underneath you, in the phone that you pick up and talk to someone with, or send a text with. God is the person on the other end of the phone. God is the one who's sitting on the other side of that desk from you, or in those pile of papers that you have to go through before the end of the day. The people you are talking to, people who are talking to you, God is there, within. That is practicing the presence of God. Now, you forget it all the time, but you have to keep coming back again and again to it. You have to be consistent about it. But the practice of the presence of God pays 100,000% dividends by giving us something wonderful, an uplift, a sense of security, a sense of guidance, of being known and loved. And it is something that no other person, nothing else can give. So it is worth the effort. It is worth the consistency, reminding ourselves. One of the things that really attracted me so powerfully to divine science was their insistence from the outset that nobody should blindly believe anything that divine science teaches. I shopped around at different churches, and Everybody else said, believe this, believe it, because I said it. Not prove it to yourself or don't believe it. They said to me, I should experiment and investigate these spiritual laws and precepts for myself. And that's what we say to everybody. Then allow your own experience to convince you that things like the law of sowing and reaping can be depended on. The body-mind connection. That thought is a force that affects your experience in life. That the golden rule needs to be observed. And all sorts of practical, spiritual truths like this that one can prove to themselves and then incorporate into life with amazing benefits. That appealed to me. I didn't want to park my brain at the front door. But another and hugely important truth is that a successful inner spiritual life has to include meditation. It has to. Practicing the presence of God is something you do in the world. Meditation is something you do in your, as Jesus described it, closet, in privacy, by yourself. Meditation provides an inner peace, quiet, where one can begin feeling this beloved presence. And feeling, experiencing that divine presence is the crowning joy of the spiritual life. And that is what we are aiming toward. That is what we want, every one of us. Any and every effort is worthy of it. We were created, we were structured physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually to be able to meditate successfully. It's built in us. And as Jesus said, we have to believe. We have to believe that it's available, because it is. We have to ask, we have to seek, we have to knock, and it will be open to us. Meditation will be available. Now, many people have found it difficult to meditate. Certainly at first, it takes effort. But with persistence and with a few helpful tools, everyone can begin to feel the presence of God. Periodically at first, and then more and more consistently. So what are these tools that I'm talking about? I kind of gave the Baptists and the Presbyterians just a rough time, because I said, well, how do you do it? Well, this is a way. Now, there are among you those who meditate all the time, and I'm not telling you not to keep on doing exactly what you're doing. But this is for those who don't do it all the time. First you close your eyes, just like we do when we meditate. And you relax. Completely relax the body. And sometimes it'll take a minute or 2 minutes just to finally let everything go. Try to push the tensions of the day, if you don't do it first thing in the morning. Push those things out of mind. Push the to-do list out of mind. The third thing you might do is to gently raise the eyes. Now, your eyes are still closed, but you raise them just a little. There's something about that helps to quiet the mind. I don't know how or why, but it does. And fourth, you begin focus on your breathing. Just slow, deep breaths. Focus on that. And again, this quiets the mind even more. And we finally come to a place of peace. When the mind goes off onto the to-do list for the day, bring it back. And just the breathing, gentle breathing, deep breathing in and out. And then what? Then perhaps an affirmation. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And things come gently to mind for reasons to be grateful. And that fills you with a sense of gratitude. Or you might try, thy way, my way, always, all days. Thy way, my way, always, all days. Thy way, my way, always, all days. And so this is giving up your will for God's will, because you know that that's going to be so much better. That's going to be so much higher than you could have imagined. Or divine order is already established over and over again. And that's so interesting because you begin to feel various parts of your body. Just, there's a feeling there. Divine order is being established in the body. And you can begin to sense that happening in the body. Or, I love you. I love you. I love you. Affirmations said with feeling always will evoke a deeper response within, a feeling of the holy presence to which you are addressing it. There is nothing like it. Nothing like the feeling of that holy presence. And interestingly, on the outside, you begin noticing these wonderful synchronicities in your life. All of a sudden, this happens, and that happens. And you couldn't have planned it, and it comes together. And it's beautiful. And they evoke more. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Is it worth getting up, setting the alarm clock 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes earlier than you have been? Absolutely. Absolutely. Practicing the presence of God, the outer practice, and meditation, the inner practice. They're the next step after prayer. Let's go with Him. And we give such deep thanks that there are these ways, these methods of coming to know that infinite, that beloved presence that created us, that has never left us, that will always help us, that seeks to know us or have us know it as it knows us. For God knows us to the very depths of our being. Thank you. Thank you that we were structured for this connection, for this oneness. Let us feel it sooner, soonest, now. Thank you. Thank you that it is so. Amen.
spend each night I could afford. Like a child in wild anticipation, love to hear that all aboard. 7, that's the time we leave it. 7, I'll be waiting up forever, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought my heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a sentimental journey, sentimental journey home. 7, that's the time we leave it. 7, I'll be waiting up forever, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought a heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a sentimental journey, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey
About a nice afternoon. They call down south a lazy afternoon.
It's a lazy afternoon, and the beetle bugs are zooming, and the tulip trees are blooming, and there's not another human in view, just us two. It's a lazy afternoon, and the farmer stops his reaping, in the meadow cows are sleeping, and the speckled trout stops sleeping upstream, while we dream. A fat pink cloud hangs over the hill, unfolding like a rose. If you hold my hand and sit real still, you can hear the grass as it grows. It's a lazy afternoon, and I know a place that's quiet, except for daisies running riot, and there's no one passing by it to see. Come spend this lazy afternoon with me.
That got to me. Now it's time for the blessing of the gifts. Our ushers will come up front. And let's repeat together our statement, our blessing, and come in our orders of service. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
I'd like to invite you to take one of these little slips. But today I'd like to invite you to take two of these little slips and hold them in prayer through the week. A lot of people's difficulties are in this basket. And as we pray for them, we know blessings are theirs. And blessings are ours as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A few announcements, trying to make them not make them too long. The flowers today are sponsored by Jerry for Martha's birthday and for everything she does, so thank you, Martha. Jerry's camping this weekend. So anyhow, we'll be back next week. Let's see, we said last week we were going to, if the teacher, you weren't here, Kate, but anyhow, all the teachers, if you'll make a list of things that you all need for your classroom, we're going to do things for you all instead of the road teachers. We thought that would be most appropriate for us to do that. So I know each one of you have a different list, so just make them and we'll get them out and we'll start collecting stuff for you. Have you already started back next week?
I go back Monday.
Okay, and I know the city goes back different times, so anyhow, well, we'll work on it probably through the end of September and give you a list, so we'll need some things for you, okay? Coming up in September, we're going to do another work day outside. This time we're going to also do some painting and some other things that need to be done instead of just all yard work. We've got a couple of doors that need to be painted and some other things, so we're going to do some different things, but it's probably going to be the second Saturday in September. I'm going to look at that date again, but I think that's what it's probably going to be. Also, we usually on Thursday nights, we've been having different things going on in the journaling class that was going on the third Thursday of the month has decided to meet every Tuesday night at 6:30. So they thought just waiting the whole month was a little long for them to do their journaling, so they're going to meet every Tuesday night at 6:30. So that frees up a Thursday night, so if anybody got anything that they want to do or suggestions, let me know, or we'll just have a free night. This Thursday night is movie night at 6:30. Not sure what we're showing yet, but anyhow, show up and we'll have something to watch. I'm passing around the duties list again. There's 10 items on there, and I'm going to keep passing it around so everybody signs it. I mean, it's just one little item, like on Sundays turn out the lights. I mean, somebody can be responsible for that. So we appreciate the people that have signed up to do things, especially Gil, for you taking out the trash. That's been a big help to me. I really do appreciate that. So also, let's see, coming up in August, We're going to have a potluck on August the 11th. As you all know, Joe Kinsey made a donation of $10,000 to the church. And so we're going to have a potluck, and he and his new wife are going to be here, and we're going to have a plaque dedicated to Brenda. So I hope everybody can show up for that. We'll be making an announcement again, but I'll give you a heads up way ahead of time for that. Also, you'll find over here on the table, we have to vote on the time that we want to start back for church, starting in the fall. Some people said, can we leave it at 10? Some people said, anyhow, we're going to put the times out there, you're going to vote on it. Please sign the ballot. If you don't sign the ballot, it's going to go in the trash. It's that simple. I had to make that announcement last time, and still people didn't sign them. So anyhow, sign the ballot, and we'll decide what time we're going to start back in the fall. Let's see, I think there was, did you have anything? You still doing your Wednesday night class, 5 o'clock on the new book? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and also somebody asked me about, a few months ago, we did a different Lord's Prayer, and so we kind of did that for a month, and then we went back to the one we've been saying for years. So we'd like to have your feedback on these Lord's Prayers, if you want to do that, or do a different one, or do the same one we've been doing. Just give us some feedback on that, because several people have asked me about it, so I just wanted to follow up on that, so, okay?
Oh, and by the way,
Yes, ma'am.
the book we're working on by David Hawkins is called Power versus Force. And it's a fascinating book. And I ordered some from Amazon, and I got too many of them. Anyway, there was a mix-up, and I've got 2 extra books. So I have them for sale if you, okay. I paid $17 for mine at Barnes & Noble. They're $13 if you get them on Amazon, and I have to charge $12. So it's less expensive than anybody else's.
And you
Is
can download
anybody
it.
interested?
You can download it on Audible for like 15 something, less than 16.
15?
About 15 to download an Audible.
Oh, download them.
An Audible.
An Audible, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, you got yours on Audible. If you like Audible, they're available that way too. But if you like the book, be able to underline stuff, I do. I've got one more book then. Okay? Thank you.
We're projecting.
Oh, is it time? Thanks so much.
No? Fall on.
Okay, our closing hymn is projected on the wall. Thank you, Nancy. God in everything. Are we singing all 4 verses? Okay. Stand as you are able.
He's in behind you.
Somewhere there.
There he is.
It's the amoeba of love.
Come on in, Jan.
Making an amoeba.
Connected. Connected in mind, connected in heart, connected in purpose. And that purpose is a spiritual one. We are a community of believers. We believe that God is within and around us. And we begin to express that belief wherever we are. Feel that belief. Know that truth. No matter where we are. And then meditate every day. Thank you, dear God, for these avenues, these golden avenues of spiritual uplift and truth. Amen.